Hey friends, it's me, Blondie. So I know it's been a while, but I finally have some time in between school that I can start recording again. So I thought I'd bring you guys another story time. And I figured it's the month of February, so I can bring in a sort of like romantic, funny, like sort of relating all that fun stuff story. And I'd actually been thinking about this particular incident a lot because I've been reading a lot of stuff on Tumblr or watching videos that have to do with like consent and stuff and like understanding people's boundaries and things like that. And a lot of the time, it seems like those conversations, which they should be, it's not really to be taken lightly, but are really serious and like, oh, we shouldn't do this or whatever, which is totally true. You should definitely respect people's bodily autonomy. But I realize we don't have to always start these conversations like super serious. And so I'm at least hoping that this video kind of like eases into that, but in a sort of funny way. And this is an incident where really asking for consent would have made this whole situation so much less awkward. Um, we could have either done some stuff or not done some stuff, whatever. It would have been totally fine. And I just should have had the like chutzpah to just freaking ask this dude. So to kind of backpedal a little bit and give you some background for the story. So I was in college at the time, probably where most of my funny stories or shenanigans stem from. And I think, I want to say it was like sophomore or junior year, something like that, that I was like past 18, but maybe not quite 21 yet, because I don't think I could drink at bars. I feel like that's something I remember. Anyways, so for St. Patrick's Day, myself, my friend Becca, and her roommate slash my friend Colleen all go out and we're like, we're gonna do it up. Like, you know, we were in college, time of our life, all that sort of stuff. So we're agreeing we go out to basically this block party that the um, shopping center out like across from the university was having because there's a few bars and stuff there and they were doing like raffles and all sorts of cool stuff, like aside from just like, yeah, let's get wasted or whatever. So we go, and while we're waiting in this like eternally long line, we meet two guys, and I think it was actually my friend Colleen who started the conversation. I don't remember the one guy's name. I want to say it's like Ed or something, but I don't remember. Anyways, we'll call the other guy to protect both our identities, Bill. So Ed and Bill start talking to us. They're really nice, and we just ended up being friends. And the line was so long, we're like, fuck it, let's go back to my friend's apartment. We'll all just hang out there and we can drink there, and we're just cutting out the middleman, so to speak, and like all of this ridiculousness with the lines. So we have a great time. I think we played like apples to apples and like other stuff. It was just like a super fun night. So we're gonna skip ahead to like months later, and at this point I start to notice that I'm like really attracted to this guy Bill. Like he's really funny, he's super sweet, like just like a great guy, and actually pretty smart, which you wouldn't necessarily know because sometimes, poor thing, the way he would kind of choose to voice himself kind of was like, oh, yeah, that's great. And like most dudes in college, he was really into like, whoa, weed, like this is so great. And like that's fine if that's what you want to do. Like more power to you. But he was just like really into it. But it's like he's nice and like straightforward, and I had just got out of like a really crappy relationship that was like emotionally abusive and stuff. So I appreciated his sincerity and stuff. So anyways, so he comes over to my friend Becca's apartment again, and this is the same girl that had Colleen that met the other guy, Ed or whatever his name was, and we're all hanging out. And at this point, we had already exchanged numbers. So I text Bill. I'm like, "Hey, dude, where are you? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm on my way. I'm just like late. Like I'm getting out of night class, whatever the heck." And he gets there, and his eyes are like redder than the fucking devil's asshole. Like he is beyond help at this point. Like he is like on Mars. And I just started cracking up. I was like, holy shit, dude, you were super high right now. And of course, him being the gentleman and trying to hide his, I guess, proclivities from us was like, no, no, no. I'm like, I'm totally not high. I just like, I went outside and like the sun burned, like sunburned my eyeballs. I shit you not, this man said that. And this guy at the time, I think was like a couple of years older. So he's like 22, 23. I was like, oh, so sure. But for some reason, like I was still interested in him anyways, but aside from him being like a total fucking goof. So we had a great time that night. And again, fast forward for like probably a couple weeks later, and we're texting, you know how friends do, whatever. And he ends up realizing that I haven't seen this really terrible kung fu movie that he like loves. And you might know from one of my previous videos, I fucking love terrible movies. So I was like, yes, we have to see this. Like, this is gonna be awesome. I actually don't remember the name of the movie. I just know that like one of the main characters has like 3 boobs. And I think the actual main like kung fu fighter character, like he's just go for nunchucks or something. It was just really weird and goofy. Excuse me. So he's like, oh, like I have it, like I'll come over and we'll watch it together. And I was like, okay, sweet. Like I love hanging out with the guy anyways. It's really not an issue. Until I realized, and this was after we had already like set up the date and he was like headed over or whatever, that I lived on campus in the dorms, which wouldn't have been a problem if it weren't for like the setup of our space. So we had like the common room where we had like a poster and a couch and like the little dining area, breakfast table, whatever the hell. And then each of our rooms had a bed, a desk that they gave us, and then like a little closet space. Now, the issue here is that there is nowhere to sit other than your bed if you're not sitting at the desk, or if you buy like a beanbag. But even then, at the time, I had a bookshelf. There wasn't room for it. It was just the mess. So I realized, oh my God, this dude's gonna come over. I'm totally crushing on him. And like, awkwardly enough, there's nowhere we can sit that's not my bed. Like, it's a little forward for me and for this whole situation. Like, what the fuck? So I'm like, okay, like, whatever, it's fine. Because I had plenty of time sat with other friends. Like, it didn't have to be weird. I remember thinking, like, I know I really like this guy, but he's a really good friend of mine, and I don't want to ruin the friendship. So, like, my theme for the night, or, like, my goal was, like, just don't make it weird. Like, if something happens, it happens. That's great. If not, that's fine. You guys are still great friends. Like, no big deal. So he comes over, and I set up the DVD on my PlayStation 2. Kind of aging myself there. And so I go to sit and he's already sat on the bed. And I swear this dude, I don't know what was going through his mind, but just like sprawled out like, yeah, I'm just gonna spread my wings. Like, it's great. And I was just like, oh, excuse me, sir, I need to fit there too. And like, because of the way he was laying, which was like arms out and stuff, there was kind of, and they give you like a full size bed. There's kind of no like alternative other than just like, oh, let me just like sit right here. Let me just like snuggle up to you, whatever. But I had that voice in the back of my head and I was like, no, because maybe he doesn't mean it that way. And if he doesn't, I'm going to make it weird. And he's a really good friend of mine. I don't want to make this weird. Like, I didn't ask if I could do it. I'm just going to like snuggle up to some dude and be like, I hope this is okay. Like, that's weird. So what in my mind was the less awkward of choices was to lay directly under his arm, because then I wouldn't be cuddling with him, but I would still kind of be close, like respecting boundaries. And to give you an idea of what that looked like if his arm is here, I just lay like right, like just like this, just like right under, like, no, we're good. It's totally not weird. Of course, at this point, because he's fucking silent and we're waiting for the previews to go, I realize how awkward it is that I just have like the top of my head laying on his arm. And so I was like, okay, we got to fix this. And so in my mind, what I was like, okay, better option is to like kind of slink away from his arm slowly by curling into a ball on his side. I was so embarrassed. Like, inside, I was fucking crying because I'm like, this is weird. I made it so weird. While trying not to be weird, I made it weird. Like, I knew it was awkward. I wanted to cry, honestly. I was just like, oh my fucking God. Like, what are you, an alien that you don't understand how to navigate this situation? As it turns out, it was totally fine. We ended up having a fun night anyway. It's nothing like the earth happened, if you want to know. But the point of this story is I could have totally avoided all of that awkwardness, the silent, like me curdling into like a tiny turtle ball and him just sitting there silently like, what the fuck is this girl doing? By just asking if he was okay with it. And I guess that's sort of my point that has to do with like romance and consent and all that good stuff. That if you kind of have the idea that someone wants to do something, they might. So you can like ask them and it's not weird. Like if they say no, then it's just okay, whatever. If they say yes, then you get to have a really good time with that person. And sometimes that kind of stuff can be like really attractive. Like Have you ever seen in like movies where they're like, "May I kiss you?" And it's like so cute, like that. Instead of weird, like thinking of it as such a staunch, like, "Can I touch your hand?" setting boundaries, like weird thing. So yeah, that was my story. Hopefully it entertained you. Just kind of thinking about it. I'm back there. I'm back there in this like little armadillo ball, like crying inside. But hopefully it entertained you guys. And I hope you guys have a great February and everything. Um, and I'm glad to be back to YouTube. I guess that's it. So I will say bye.